against herO, right?
Yeah, for sure. Those two don't really ever play against each other. They did play in the Champions Cup, and Serral won the first series. herO won the rematch, the classic GSL system, cursing Serral there into one of the earliest exits that we've seen from him. So this should be a very exciting one.
Yeah, that group was absolutely crazy as well, of course. As in the top right corner of the map, we'll start out with our blue Zerg player. This is Serral.
And in the bottom left, the red Protoss. For DPG, it's herO.
How was how would you rate these two in PvZ or ZvP right now then, Lambo?
It's very difficult for me to rate herO because I haven't played against him in a while. For Serral, he's probably the best ZvP player, or at least the most consistent one. He sometimes plays a little bit like a simp, if I'm allowed to use that word. but other than that, he's super good. He has the best late game probably in the world overall. So the thing is, getting there against herO is not going to be that easy because herO is not known to play into the late game. So usually these games will get very exciting in the mid game.
Yeah, I was asking Halston about this after one of the quarterfinals, and he was telling me, like, yeah, he just expects herO to be very kind of a mixed bag of build orders, right? Just a few crazy things, trying to get aggressive, not let these games go too long into the future, right? Just, try and keep them short and a little bit, away from that late game generally, which is, of course, where we typically expect Serral to excel as well.
Yeah, so the way Serral and Vayner both lost in the Africa Cup was mostly against Glaives from both MaxPax and herO. They both lost against MaxPax and they both lost against herO, I think.
Yes.
Because I don't remember there being any ZVZs. So, yeah, I'm expecting that at the very least to come out. I know herO also plays some Robo first builds. And he also obviously made his herO style, so he can also play Stargate. It's basically... It's very good as a Protoss if you know how to open with all three attack paths.
Yes, it just makes it so difficult to know what you're up against each time. Although this game, we're going to have Serral coming straight through, spotting that Stargate. We've even seen the early Stargate, right? There's a couple different follow-ups from here. We can get super aggressive. We can go Glaives afterward. There really has been just, many different ways to set up. And we even saw, I think, in my eyes, herO was one of the players who started building a single Void Ray again as well recently, where he's just like, builds a Void Ray, then the Oracle, and we hadn't seen that in a long time until herO brought it back in. I think it was the Champions Cup.
Yeah. Serral actually mixing it up quite a bit with the 4 Queen opener. Not sure if he wanted to do that no matter what on Inside and Out, because on Inside and Out it's very difficult to hold the Glaives, but it is not Glaives. herO actually went for the Mind Game where he started Warp Gate right away, but then went Stargate anyways. Serral didn't fall for it, he didn't even see the Warp Gate started. He just went straight in. This is something that you mix in like once in the series, because against a Stalker first, very often the Overlord just dies. Sometimes you don't even get the info, so it's a risky play, but it paid off in this time around, because herO did not open with the Stalker and he got the Scout right away.
Well, Adept, eager for a Crypt Jimmer. Takes a lot of damage though, and with Link Speed finishing, that Adept is going to go down, so a little bit more than herO bargained for there, and losing an Adept early. Then she depowers that kind of double Adept combo sometimes, but yeah, otherwise just a couple Lings get out onto the map, and the Oracle makes its way as well for the first time across. We'll be joined by a second at the very least. We started a Nexus behind this as well, and for the moment just seems like we're pretty happy building Oracles and getting ready for future tech in the next couple of minutes.
This is the first time actually that herO saw the third base. If I saw 2 Queens there going for a double tumor, that basically tells the Protoss it's 4 Queen. This looks like a 2-base opener to me, so I was very surprised that he actually threw down the Nexus before he even saw the third hatchery, but he did it, and it's completely fine. Serral just went for a slightly safer opener. It's not like it costs that much either, especially when you kill 1 Adept. That means herO already made 4 Gateway units, which is also quite expensive. 3 Queens being ready to deflect the Oracles, the Adepts can shade in. So overall, pretty decent early game from Serral, but herO didn't really do that much in terms of commitment either. Like, this is basically the most standard you're gonna see. Even if you don't kill anything with this, you're in a completely fine spot as a Protoss.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just going to be pretty okay as we're going to try for this Queen. We'll get it, and a couple of drones to boot as we do take some extra damage on this Oracle. In fact, that Oracle is going to go down. A little unlucky with the way it kind of pathed around maybe, but yeah, I wanted those extra couple of drones, and obviously not quite worthwhile losing the Oracle for it.
Yeah, absolutely not. It looked like a misclick almost. He took one step to the right with the Oracle, and that cost him the Oracle entirely. His wall is open, by the way, right now, so if the Zerglings went in there, could have been dicey. This happens very, very frequently in hero's games, that he just leaves the wall open.
Really?
To the point where some people just say that he's doing it on purpose to let the links in, but he basically loses most of his losses are because Zerglings get into his base, so I really doubt it's on purpose.
It's on purpose until it doesn't look genius anymore. As Serral eating a bit of a supply block here after losing that Overlord he sent back through the base. I'm just going to have the Queens here deflecting the Oracle pretty much straight away. We've got 2 Adepts out here as well that Serral is going to catch pretty much immediately. The Adepts do get behind the minerals and will just be annoying. Good control there. That means they barely even take any damage as they do shade away. So they'll get back home. They'll be able to rejoin up. As behind all of this, we go charge and just pretty much straight to Temple Archives and Archons from herO. This is something we've started to see a lot more of again recently, right?
Yeah, it's basically the hero style, the one with the blink stalkers. The low gas count is very good against roaches straight away, and so we would start to go +1 melee a lot more, which is exactly what Serral is doing this game. And this style is much better against +1 melee because, well, you have charge lots and archons, and against those you need roaches, but the +1 melee kind of hinders the early game a little bit, and that means you will have less roaches. Against this timing, you wouldn't have a roach upgrade anyways, but just as Zerglings are not as useful, so you need to stay on a very low worker count. So even if herO doesn't do anything with his push, he forces out roaches, and because Serral opened +1 melee, even though he didn't really have a bad early game whatsoever, he's still a little bit behind in workers right now because he's trying to play it safe.
Yeah, it's the revolving door of ZvP meta, which honestly ZvP didn't feel like it had for a long time, right? ZvP often was very clear-cut, but right now ZvP has so many different ways to open and ways to shift things. As this Nexus will be placed, and will be instantly cancelled. Serral will grab himself a pylon kill in the corner as well before finding it time to get out of here. A nice little delay, the Archons for some extra value at the end. Good micro, just wow, yeah. And a lot more links than I thought he was going to with that little Archon transport.
Yeah, that was really well done. It's important to not be lazy there, and you can just go, okay, I lost my Nexus, and then the links get away, but he actually made the most out of a bad situation there. And it ended up quite okay for herO, who already has a Robo Bay and a second Robo on the way, so he wants to go disrupt your icon. This is a style that Serral has had a little bit of trouble dealing with initially, especially when he played against it against Showtime at the beginning, and then also Zaun is the second player who uses this every now and again. I'm very surprised that herO didn't take... I guess his fourth base is not that early, but I'm assuming he wants to rush 8 gas as early as possible. So for this meta, the fourth base is very late, even for a Charge Lord Icon. So he's not going to have that many Icons, but his max out once his Zealots are gone is going to be very strong. I'm a little bit afraid though that since it's herO, he's just going to attack before that, and I wouldn't be a fan of that, to be honest.
He's definitely poising to you, right? He's like, I'm going to stand in the middle of the map. Yeah, clean a bit of creep spread, but like you say, if he just darts that bit further forward, it could backfire massively. We've got a few links set up on the right side. Serral just going to check out what's on this base, and as it just gets finished up, there'll be a few Balins that will also have +2 melee ready to roll into it, so that could be dangerous in a few moments from now. herO is still setting up as though he wants to potentially find a way to push through. Obviously, it's nice to keep the group spread back. It's just, if he goes for anything more than that, it would be painful. Disruptor reinforcing, getting caught. Might not actually die. A couple of Zealots coming over to help it. It does go down, so nice catch from Serral.
Yeah, that's the second one. Those links killed 2 Disruptors, so that is huge, because now it's only 1 Disruptor. For some reason, the Disruptor goes in alone, which means it's very easy to just run away from it and then disengage. Now, Serral already has 30 Banelings, and herO's army, even though it has a bunch of icons, is not very good against Banelings. So, yeah, it's very good that herO decides to go back. He has no business attacking at this point in time. And instead, he's going into a Fleet Beacon without extra Stargates, so I wonder if he's trying to use this for just a Mothership or an actual carrier transition.
Yeah, no, it's it kind of feels like just a Mothership, right? If you've only got the 1 Stargate, unless he's just going to be very slow on adding those other Stargates in. Serral already just has good vision around this left side of the map with these Overlords, the Overseer. So he gets in position immediately to deal with these Zealots, and he's also launching an attack down the right side. The Disruptor is here, and that should be able to get a reasonable connection if the Roaches had continued forward. They do not, and the Archons push this back as the Disruptor flank will catch a Roach or so. And herO actually going to get quite a lot of units here as he turns back around, gets these Roaches with the Disruptor, and doesn't really lose too much. I think he lost a few Zealots initially, but not too bad. Serral instantly remaxing, but still on this kind of just Ling Roach Ravager force. Oh well, Ling Roach Bane force, sorry, but a couple of Vipers added in, so he's got a bit of extra tech that will help against Disruptors. And just in terms of finding some extra efficiency here, let's see what he can do. He is chasing straight through the middle right now.
Yeah, I don't mind it, because herO doesn't actually have anything against the Vipers. Usually at least you have Blink Stalkers that you can use. A decent disruptor shots there. 2 more come out. The Archons are getting surrounded. It's just a little bit too much Zerg, and off the end of this engagement, there's just nothing there anymore for the pros, which means all the disruptors are getting cleaned up. He might be getting a base in the top left, but that fight itself was pretty good for Serral.
Yeah, apart from that one disruptor shot, right? If that one disruptor didn't connect how it did, and I think he had the Viper just already set to abduct it, just didn't get there in time, so... Yeah, that one disruptor shot, if it wasn't for that, I mean, Serral would already be swarming a base, I'm pretty sure, because he won that convincingly. And he is setting up just with more stuff ready to go again anyways, so coming through the center, he is going to be met by a Colossus. That's not too scary if you have Vipers. One Viper died in that previous attack, but only the one, so I think Serral should still be able to find himself some value in some engagements here. He's also attacking the left side, so keeping this multi-pronged. I'm going to try and cancel that 5th base from coming online. He's replacing his own 5th that was lost during that last fight.
Yeah, it's actually funny. If I see a fight like this, oh my god, herO just killed a lot of his own units. And that's also the disruptors being gone. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna just blame this one on Ping, but
yeah, he blew up what, like 5 Zealots, the Archon in the front, and obviously then, like you say, both the disruptors will be on cooldown. The one Colossus gets abducted in, and then Serral can trade pretty darn well against everything else here. So yeah, herO definitely having just some disastrous moments in this game, that being one of them. As the feelings on the other side will not do much with the Mothership showing up. It was just the Mothership from the Fleet Beacon, so Mothership arrives, but I'm not sure the Mothership is necessarily going to make the biggest of differences. At this point, Serral really seems to have pretty good control of this game, and especially just because he's keeping the tech count very low for herO. herO's never getting maxed out purely on Archon, Disruptor, or anything like that, right? It's always a bulk of Zealots that are making up his army supply.
Yeah, but the game feels like it's Serral domination, because if we see fights like this where the Zerg is actually even winning the fights, it's usually super one-sided in favor of the Zerg. But Serral has been mining less than herO, I think, and he's also... I mean, he's just been on a low drone count for a lot of this game, so this is... It's still looking alright for herO, to be honest, because his army actually scales quite well against what Serral has, and Serral is too broke to get into Broodlords. Broodlords would be the best against this. But yeah, he just now his Spire is finishing. And he also needs something against the Mothership. Like, the one Mothership is actually pretty annoying, because it can kill the Vipers as well, you know? Like, you can just fly forward with the Mothership at this point, because there's literally 0 anti-air. So if you're attacking in the middle of the map, that Mothership is going to get a lot of value. It can focus 5 Vipers and Overseers, and once the Overseer is gone, obviously you can't find it at all anymore. So yeah, Serral has to sit back for a while, and his creep spread is not looking good because of all of those fake move-outs or semi-move-outs. I'm not even sure what to call them, but herO has contained Serral's creep quite well on this map, so I don't mind the spot at all. We'll see what his answer is once the Broodlords are out, but for now he doesn't even need it.
Yeah.
Either way, I would love for him to start Blink. That one is for sure.
Yep, just gets that start. As you mentioned it, Great Spire is indeed on the way. And Oracle, just all the way over here, is going to get picked up by Queens and Corruptors. As, well, we've got defensive units set up. So over here, the Disruptor does connect, but the Banes will wipe out. The Zealots, at least, don't have too much against a couple of Archons, so Serral might have to send more across. In fact, hero's starting to send everything towards this upper left-hand side. A couple of Spine Crawlers begin to get knocked down. Serral with a massive Ling Bane rebuild, but he has to cancel all of the Banelings pretty much. An initial time bomb drops down, and now we're going to have these Banes having to back away from that Disruptor shot as well. And Serral, does he have enough to get through this line of Archons? It looks as though hero's attack is phenomenal, and it's just as, you know, Serral was heading into that Great Aspire and building Corruptors, and they just don't do anything. So herO just pounces and wins the game with this push. Yeah, I kind of... You said it, right? Like, it wasn't a bad position for herO. I didn't think he was quite ready to just come and push and win, though. But, like you say, that army, it scales very well, right?
Yeah. Serral's army doesn't scale that well, and yeah, he was just not mining the amount that you usually would with this style. So I think it's a little bit on Serral for playing it too safe, and also just not getting the correct drone count out. Because if he takes fights like this and he's on 90 drones, which I mean, the army wouldn't be that much smaller, right?
Right.
And I think the fights would go very similarly. I think he would just crush herO this game, but instead he played it a little bit too safe. And it reminds me a lot of older games that they played. They played a best of one once in the WardiTV Casters Team League.
Yep.
Yeah, Casters Civil War, exactly. Where it looked very similar like this to on 2K Atmosphere, where herO was actually the one who was trading not as effectively as he maybe could have, but he just actually outmined Serral and then ended up winning in the long run, where it kind of looked like a weird game, but in the end it does make some sense.
Alright, well, GG's on in, as we will start in the top right-hand side with the blue Zerg player. This is Serral.
His opponent, the man who came back from the army and single-handedly reinvented the meta of PvZ, the matchup that he's playing right now. It is herO.
I have the weirdest thing that when I when I click on my XSplit, my recording, the mouse turns pink, and I'm just like, that doesn't happen on my actual screen. It just happens on the recording. So just thought I'd mention that in case people are noticing it. I also have no idea what that is. So yeah,
That is weird.
Yeah, that's fun. I've heard of the UI bugs where people are spawning with the like bright pink UI and stuff, but pink mouse only on my recording program. Yeah, not sure about that one.
Guys, that's a new one.
Yes, indeed.
herO's not scouting, and he went gas first again. So gas first usually is useful mostly for Stargate or DC drop. But you can also just not scout, get your gas a little bit earlier, and then play glaive. You can take out of gas a little bit earlier than you usually do. So I mean, it's just overall a little bit more of an efficient opener no matter what you do, and it's just a little greedy. But I don't think Serral has 12 pulled like even once in the last year or so. So probably a fair mind game.
Yep, that saturation just works out nicely on your main base with the one probe coming down, and then you get to have your tech a little bit sooner or so. I well versed in the gas first Lambo. Austin taught me well.
Yeah, and it's annoying to play against because they always start warp gate even with Stargate. So as a Zerg, you can't read it into the gas units anymore. So if it's like a stalker plus a warp gate, it can still be Stargate and just mind game.
Right.
Whereas if you don't have this, it's actually not possible. Or the Stargate would be super late, so you don't need to respect it as much.
So for Serral, I'm just going to go to the back of the main base, and we'll linger there until he can come back through for another scout. And here we'll just build the stalker up initially with that warp gate. But like you say, we're pretty much able to drop our tech unit, tech structure down, whatever it may be, in a few moments. You can do that on the natural, of course, where the overlord is not. But I guess this overlord in the main kind of forces you to build the tech on the natural, so that maybe makes it a higher chance to scout with the lings.
Yeah, it depends on the map layout and where the Protoss position the first overlord. Not sure if you can see this if there's actually a stalker in the wall, especially if it's a little bit more forward. But herO actually decides to not show his stalker since he figures he can't kill this anyway. I wouldn't even be so sure that the stalker can't hit it there. I never tried to hide an overlord there against Protoss. But yeah, Serral got the scout off with the double link, so as you said, this makes it easier for him to scout. So he does get the scout off and he's going to base lair. This is very exciting.
Wow, that's not quite a sour build, right? Just mixing it up a little bit. 2-base lair, Rotron, are we thinking this just straight up annihilates us?
I think this is just roach speed and he's just trying to blind counter glaives. So herO didn't even scout for the third base last time. I hope he does it this time around.
Comes up with his adept and is just going to go toward the natural. Drone just moved out to the left-hand side. I'm not sure if he saw that or not, but yeah, for now, just kind of getting into the mineral line and checking there. He will check right, and now he'll check left. And he will notice perhaps that third base is a bit slow. At least I thought he was going to check left, but he does not. Now he does.
Yeah, he's walking up now. He will see that it's way too late. He also obviously saw that the roach warning is super early. So I'm not sure if he wanted to go 4-gate into third nexus, but he's now going 4-gate into Robo and to 4-gas, so he's trying to play it safe. Whereas Serral skipped the link speed, he's rushing roach speed, which just makes it easier to deal with any of the glaive builds. So I'm not sure if he's trying out stuff or if this is an actual build order that he has practiced a bunch, but it looks just like a perfect blank counter to what would usually be a committed glaive build.
There's two stalkers. Oh, they don't quite get the overseer. 1 HP. Don't tell me he's going to get away. Okay, cool. Oh.
No, he won't.
Just about gets it. So this is
3 stalkers though. That makes the build worse.
Exactly, right? I'm like, you're building glaives and you've just got as many stalkers as you have at depth, right? It's definitely not looking ideal. Gonna drop that Robo Bay with the 4 gas. And Serral just continues to get his roaches up. And his roach speed started. Obviously doesn't need any more drones just yet. He's fully saturated or efficiently saturated in what he currently has. As the third base is finishing, obviously now is where a few more drones will go a long way. But he's going to do this off the back of a very strong roach count. And again, having that roach speed just gives you a lot more versatility in what these roaches can do.
Yeah, he actually scouted the second overseer with the War Prism, so he's going to try to intercept it with the Stalkers. Serral realizes once he sees with the changelings the Stalkers are in position and goes somewhere else. Now he's trying to counter-attack with the Roaches, maybe trying to cancel the third base once. if Serral actually doesn't do damage, this once again looks pretty good for herO, even without dealing any damage, just because these build orders just they're a little bit weird, right? herO didn't really commit to what he wanted to do, and herO just went 4 gas and has more workers now than his opponent. So yeah, he wanted to cancel the third base. Now he sees there's nothing in natural. I don't know why herO never does have stuff in the natural.
Yeah, the
A single
pylon.
sentry would have saved him. Oh my god, the disruptor doesn't spawn. I thought that one would get out for sure. It doesn't. He doesn't move away the probes, which is a huge mistake. 11 probes already dead. Disruptor finally gets out with the help of the Warp Prism, but that was a disaster for herO.
Yeah,
He's now full walling himself in. Oh no, it's not a full wall, okay.
Well, yeah, this definitely not going the best. It's obviously the disruptor production halted again, so he's got the 1, but he won't get more than that. And now Serral has roaches on the third base, knocking down the pylon here. Probes won't be able to long distance mine there any longer, and just getting as much value as we can with these roaches. Serral already doing masses of damage and definitely doing enough to justify his opening. So yeah, just herO, like you said before, you mentioned this wall not being there. It's one of these things where like a couple extra seconds can make all the difference. In this case, the disruptor would have been out a little bit sooner, for example. So yeah, just something in the wall to hold off to buy you a little bit more time, perhaps. And yeah, and the probes were still there too. So just a bit of a disaster all around for herO. And Serral gonna really solidify his position here on Waterfall.
Yeah, it was a very bad on-the-spot decision making. He saw the speed roaches on his side of the map and he decided to warp in extra units on the third. I'm not sure if he had 4 gateways, but I'm not sure if he then still had a warp gate ready to warp in a sentry, because there was no Ravagers, so the sentry would have probably won him the game there, because he actually was perfectly set up to deal with this. He had stalkers, adepts, and he would have had a disruptor out. He already had a battery at the third base, and his units were already at the third base. So yeah, all he needed to do was buy a little bit of time for the disruptors as hold that top, because now he's dropping the 2 disruptors together with the adepts. It's just way too many units. He loses one of the disruptors. This is a complete disaster for herO, who's now going to try to all in with 4 gateways. A 5th one on the way. He even has a forge, because I mean, he didn't plan to do this initially, but he figures might as well try to do something now, because I'm not going to retake my third base and then win a macro game of this.
Nope, no macro really allowed in this situation, so herO will do what he can. Trying to bring the Prism forward the Disruptor, but Serral, he's just going to be way too on top of it. So, yeah, we'll see how this fight goes, but it's generally probably just going to go one way. There's a second Disruptor at least, which shows up right now. We dive on the first one. We will have to take the hit from the second. No, he actually gets the kill on it. Never mind. That will pretty much just be it for Serral to tie the series 1-1. All right, then let's see what we get as in the bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player. This is going to be Serral.
And his opponent in the top right, the red Protoss player, it is DPG's herO.
Map has yeah, definitely got the potential to be a little bit more macro-y, a little bit more fun in that regard, perhaps, as see just what goes down, see what those builds are going to be already. The gas first again here from herO, so just exploiting the kind of the not so aggressive nature of Serral, I suppose.
Yeah, do you think in the next game we're gonna see another no scout? Because it will be very herO-like, but at that point it takes quite a bit of balls to
keep doing
just go no scout every single game. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he just comes in and says, well, sometimes you just gotta have some big balls if you're gonna take down Serral, right? So if he feels like he needs these edges, then yeah, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe it depends what the map is next. Should be on.
Because the thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's probably what is left. Tropical and Stargazers is probably left. Because I think against herO he's gonna beat the Moondance, and herO probably beat that Cosmic. Or I think herO beat that Cosmic or Tropical probably. So anyways, yeah, it's the thing is, Serral is not afraid to go pool first or normal pool first, and if you don't even Cybercore scout, you can also just win with that, because you're gonna kill the pylon in time. So yeah, pool first against Cybercore scout is not that great, but pool first against no scout is a free win as well. And I know Serral likes to do it from time to time, so it actually it does require some balls from herO, and I mean we know that he has them, so yeah. It's fine.
It'll be fun to kind of keep track of that one going into the next few maps. Is obviously 1-1 tied up, guaranteed at least the next 2 maps, of course, in this best of 5, which is obviously fantastic. And open for all 5 today as our Adept Chrono boosts into that Warp Gate, and we'll get the Stargate going immediately as well. So once again, just showing us something fun, different, mixing it up game by game. Getting that Stargate down for for herO to start developing some control on this map.
This is gonna be pretty good for Serral where the Stargate is positioned because he's actually sending a second overlord across to make sure he knows what's up. herO last game went for the Stalker first, so this game around he's not trying to suicide this very first overlord, instead he went across the map with 2. herO once again also going for the warp gate right away to fake Serral out a little bit. And yeah, that second overlord, if it sees the Stargate, is gonna help Serral quite a bit because the Stargate is in such a position where you can re-scout all the time what it's actually producing. So you can be like, okay, it can't be super early grave because the second Oracle is not starting right away. It can't be Phoenix because, well, I don't see Phoenix. Can't be Void Rays, can't be Carriers, all that kind of stuff you can scout for basically free. As we have herO actually taking quite a bit of damage, which matters a lot here on the Adept because herO actually went across with the first 2 Adepts. So that makes it a little easier for Serral to actually defend this without any links. He actually only has 1 Zergling. I wonder if herO shades here. Oh my god, he's gonna shade and Serral was not on top of it. So he has to pull the drones. Barely doesn't get us around, but should get the Adept. If this Adept actually had more HP, this would be a disaster. But the way it is right now, he should get both Adepts. Oh, Oracle also shows up.
Yeah, just gonna go into the main base. Oracle gonna be a bit more of a distraction as well. And 6-7 drones end up going down. So quite a lot of damage taken in the end here from Serral. And absolutely seems worth the 2 Adepts that we lose.
Yeah, it's a disaster for Zerg. This is where I usually say on my stream, okay, this game's over. And then you can usually win still, but not if your opponent is playing perfect. So now you're hoping for some mistakes or that your opponent plays something weird and not like a super straightforward style where, for example, if he goes for his normal herO style now and he plays on point, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Serral to come back because he can't even afford the +1 melee even if he wanted to. He made 0 spores right now and he's still behind in workers. Just now he's starting the spores. So it's going to be difficult for him to even defend the next 3 oracles without losing anything. If herO goes to the natural, I think it's almost game over.
Alright, here we go. Triple Oracle flying through. Gonna go for the Queen's. A little bit of mistargeting initially. Wasn't all stacked up on the first Queen. Now gonna dive through the Spore Crawler to get Queen number 2. And we'll finish that off. And honestly didn't even take that much damage on the Oracles. So yeah, a couple of Queens go down. And we'll just be extending his position in this game. As he starts up Blink, we'll get that future pressure ready to go. And Serral, like you say, just still going to be looking for a way for herO to maybe make some mistakes. But Depth show up on the 3rd base. No defenses here. So 2 Depths get rid of 2 drones straight away. And now just going to start dancing away from these Lings, try and minimize their damage. In fact, the drones come back, so time to maximize our kills here. We've mistargeted on all these drones. And we will not get any more than 2.
It's a setup for the Oracle.
It's a setup for the Oracle, yeah.
Yeah, if he has 2 in the main, he can one-shot 4 there, and then with the 4 low HP drones with the single Oracle, he can get them. Well, not anymore, because they already regen, but yeah.
Well, it could have been masterful, though.
I mean, yeah, definitely was on purpose there, as, yeah, herO is going for his style, and I really like it. I'm surprised he didn't start a fort yet. But as long as he starts his fort base, and then he starts trading on the other side of the map, he should be really well set up, because this usually snowballs very nicely.
Yep. As do have Oracles getting rid of just a couple of additional drones yet again. So continuing to work through that as now they take a little bit of extra damage. Very low HP on all of the Oracles now, but they're still alive and just even more drones that Serral has to recover from before dealing with this upcoming Blink attack. Gonna make it very difficult to deal with this attack of herO very soon.
I feel like this Fort Nexus is like 40 seconds too late. I really think he had the money for a long time already to make that Nexus, so I was surprised he didn't. But he did pump out a lot of gates right away, so he's gonna have a decent Stalker count. And as long as he has the 3 Oracles alive, it's gonna be super easy for him to clean creep as well, because he can just kite back off creep and then just clear the creep slowly. So the only thing that herO needs to do now is join up his Oracles with his Stalkers. Instead, he's actually going for the Queens. He's gonna lose 1 Oracle for 2 Queens, is what it looks like. So this looks like it's a decent trade, but I would be happy with this if I was Serral, because not only did he kill an Oracle there, but also the Oracles all use their energy.
Yep.
And if they didn't, I'm pretty sure he would just die the first time he tries to fully engage the Stalkers.
All these Lings getting caught, though, the last few getting cut off towards the tail end here, so that is going to be a little bit painful as our Stalkers continue down this base. It doesn't immediately feel like it's got defense, right? I mean, these Lings can come through, but extra Stalkers showing up, and herO's numbers are pretty high. There's Lings that are looking for the surround, try and minimize the effect of the Stalkers blinking back, as the Oracles are here to help with a few kills as well. Queens will dispatch of the Oracles pretty quickly, but, well, the Stalkers are still trading decently against the Lings. Obviously, the Lings have had a good surround throughout this. They have that +1 melee, but extra Stalkers show up, and it just doesn't feel like Serral has the numbers arriving to really save the day.
Yeah, GG is called. I mean, that was not even well microed by herO, but he just didn't need to because he won the game with the first 2 adapts. Like, this just snowballs, and that's also... I'm not even sure he wanted to go for this blink style to begin with on Data C, but once he does that damage, it's such a nice style to close out a game like this, because as a Zerg, you either make units, and then you can maybe survive for a little bit, but then the other guy just outmines you, and you won't be able to survive for long, or you just make more workers and hope he doesn't kill you, but... That's really just on the Protoss, so well executed there.
Well executed.
Remember the DreamHack Montreal, I think it was, 2018, when he had the Grand Slam there. That was basically all of his series were comebacks, and even also all of them were like wins in game 5s, and all of them were ridiculous comebacks. So
was that the one he won against herO in the ridiculous game? That
was the one where he won against Reynor in the Cerulean Fault. He won against me game 5 on, I don't know, I don't remember what my map was called, and against Scarlet, I think the comeback against Scarlet was even bigger than against Reynor Army, because that was actually, like, he was super dead. Okay, Serral is going for the Young Yakov, which is you proxy hatch at the minerals and you mine them out and you Ling Flood. I think Serral did this with a Ling Baneolin at Home Story Cup, so you can do both versions. It's actually a pretty strong build because there's a gold base on the spell, which makes it harder for the Protoss to instantly realize what's going on.
Yep, and just for clarification for everyone as well, this was played before Home Story Cup, so for herO this isn't like, oh, I watched this games at Home Story Cup and maybe I know that he does this right now, so just maybe important to point that out as well, because yeah, he used this against Showtime, I believe, in his series in the lower bracket, and that was the Ling Baneolin version he utilized. So
that's actually the perfect tournament then to bust out this build, because no one will even see it. And you can do it still before the actual tournament. So so not only does he get perfect tournament practice, but no one will know about it.
It's actually insane.
Yeah, that's actually,
200 IQ. This is why he accepted the invite for the first time ever.
He wanted to try out the 2-base lair and the Young Yakov.
Yeah. He's had it all planned out this entire time. Big brain. Alright, so I mean, how do you defend this then as herO? Because when we interviewed Serral about this, he was like, yeah, not sure. Obviously, maybe doesn't want to let it out, but he seemed to think that if there's a Nexus, it's very difficult to hold.
I think you should be able to defend with a Nexus. I think as long as you make a Forge, it should be relatively easy, actually, to hold this build.
Forge and just keep your units near, like, mineral lines / don't let your units, like, stray, right? I think that's what's happened every time I've seen someone do this build. The units have like strayed just a little bit away from a mineral line or a choke point, and then they just instantly get surrounded. And it's just like, well, that was silly, right? And yeah, they're just trying to get too much value almost, it feels like, trying to chase too far. It is a Forge, and it is a Stargate from herO, and he's going to get batteries ready as well. So prepping, and he did cancel the Nexus to afford all this, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure this response actually is... Like, if I get a Forge, I would also get a Nexus. He's trying to get the Forge and the Stargate. If this would actually just be a Ling Flood and not a Ling Baneolin, I think you can just make a second hatchery, and then you're probably fine. But since this is actually the Ling Bane version, I believe he didn't make the Baning Nest yet, but he's still mining gas, so it has to be. I think Serral is going to commit no matter what, even if he sees that there's no natural.
Yep.
So we'll see how this plays out. This is new territory for me as well.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun one to try and figure out. It's like you say, that the gas is there, but still no Baneling Nest. The first wave of this is just going to be Lings, maybe a Bane Nest, to follow this up a little bit, and then, we'll go from there. This one Adept is going to go down, though, so we're already one Adept down. The drone's returning. Those Lings have gone through the main base, and they're just going to come straight down to the low ground here. Obviously, this battery can't really be saved by anything, and that means the pylon will then go down, and then you lose production of your 2 gateways.
Yeah, this is what makes it so hard. That's why I think Forge is so good against it, because you can have a cannon and a battery walled in the natural. Not the case though. You also need to think about the shield battery not being full energy because it's not next to a Nexus, so it makes it even easier to bust. I have tried the 1211 a build that Cat's made, also with mining out this stuff, and it looks very, very similar. Like, usually I win the game at the natural always. Like, they try to make shield batteries, and they have the adapts in the main, and they're like, okay, I have one adapt at the natural, and it's fully walled. But I mean, I could just attack it from the other side, and
yeah.
there's not much you can do about it.
Well, just gonna make sure that these gateways do not stay online for long, so Serral shuts them down again. I'm just gonna keep persistently having to go with this. So you will see this set up on the main, but this is why banelings are incredible, right? Because, well, I mean, you can just burst down the stack defense, the probes at the same time. In fact, we're just gonna engage in right away here with these lings going for the cannon. There is not the energy to super battery, and maybe that's part of his decision in what he did here in deciding to go. There's no super battery available, so he can commit in, because obviously with the super battery, this may have looked a little bit worse for Serral.
Yeah, there's just no way of defending this for a hero. I don't understand why he made the fortune and didn't make a cannon. Or maybe he just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
I mean, both phases, right?
Did you not have one? He had one forward initially, I guess, but I don't know when it came down.
Yeah. Yeah, this was not close at all.
No.
So yeah, Serral making this build look really, really busted.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see people start, because I mean, this is gonna start being used like a lot now, right? Like, people have seen it in a few different tournaments. It's gonna start getting used a lot, and pros players are gonna have to be a little bit more kind of on top of how to deal with this, because otherwise, yeah, they're gonna die every time on Stargazers, which, when it's kind of meant to be, you know, pretty reasonable map for the Protoss, not a good thing in your best of 5.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, to be fair, the Home Cup was the last big tournament that's going to be played on these maps, I think. So the Protoss players dodged the bullet there, I think. They don't need to actually figure out how to wall properly.
Yeah, they can just let the maps rotate. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, GG's. We get a game 5 here, herO. Hands up, absolutely. As we get into the bottom left side, once again, I get to intro our Blue Zerg player from eSports. It is, of course, Serral.
And his opponent in the top right, the best man from military returning, it is DPG's herO.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, his results this year have been absolutely off the charts, considering he was away from military. Mentioning that, we've got some exciting players returning. I actually just logged onto the Korean server before we started casting this and saw TY online. So, TY, I don't know when TY is back officially, but online, playing a couple of games. Clearly ready to make something of a comeback, as Serral, by the way, pool first.
And this is the game where herO didn't go no scout.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought would happen, because Serral isn't the kind of guy who fully risks something like a 12 pool. So I expected exactly this to happen, where Serral goes for a normal pool first, and then herO scouts the final game. Like, if you had... God damn it, I should have hard predicted this before. but I thought it to myself.
You basically did in the last series, you know? You're like, pool first, kills it. We're talking about if herO would risk doing it every single time. Good read from herO then, just to finally stop no scouting, you think?
Yeah. And he also knows the correct pool first response, which is big. A lot of Protoss players, especially in Korea, because Koreans literally never pool first, make like a zealot and a second gateway, which in that case you're already far behind, even if nothing happens. So herO knows to just play standard. You can like momentarily wall if you're really unsure, but you should always just make a normal nexus, and that is the actual correct way of doing things.
All right, and then just go straight into your adept once you get this slap core done.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, you're on the right track then, at least for this game number 5, Tropical Sacrifice. It is indeed a big one. Just gonna see a couple lings gonna shake their way across to the upper right side of the map as well. So they're just gonna go for a little bit of a wander. Warp gate is starting up already from herO, and that's obviously something you will see here as Serral as these first 2 lings come up, seeing that warp gate start, and it is immediately a Twilight Council as well. So no mind games there. He is not going Stargate.
Unless he cancels it once lings are done.
Lings get in, scout, cancel. Latest Stargate we've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I have seen him do this before, where he cancels a Twilight and goes double Stargate, actually. Phoenix.
Ooh, actually, yeah. I have seen that, actually. Double Stargate. He's played a few Phoenix games here and there recently as well, so... Not out of his scope, but this Twilight is 99% done. And the Ling will stay alive all the way to seeing it finish, which is, of course, when you talk about the fact he's cancelled in the past. Again, just further nice confirmation for Serral. His Adept's been running around after that Ling for a while. Finally goes down. And the Resonant Enclaves has started, and Serral immediately 2-base lair.
2-base lair again, with a Roach Warren. So he thinks this is the best thing to do, and in this case, it's really good for him because herO actually cut a lot of workers to get out these gateways right away. He wasn't producing workers, he also didn't chrono boost them, so this should, on paper, be good for Serral, I would say.
Yeah, just coming to getting your kind of complete counter against the Adepts up and rolling quickly early makes a ton of sense, and yeah, like you say, like herO is playing right into what Serral wants him to do, so yeah, gonna be a tough little situation. There's the Robo as well to completely commit to this 4-gate Adept style. Serral will have his Roach throwing up. Obviously, this would also be good, right, if this was DTs behind it, because you've got the Lair already, so you're immediately set up to go into Overseers, which is something you don't typically have when you're playing against Adept, so you don't have the Lair this quick with the 3 bases, so just a little bit of safety there, because that's another thing that's been mixed in a lot by these aggressive Protoss players, Max Pax and herO lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how good this actually is against a DT job where they just go 44 workers. Like they did a 2-gate DT job, because that one actually has a lot of workers, and then they have an Archon or 2 and an early Immortal production they can have. So as long as they don't take damage, I would think it's good for Protoss. herO once again on 2 base going for Robo Forge, so he's gonna play it safe. And this time no Fort Gas, and he hides the extra gas from Serral. So Serral is still making roaches. And for Serral right now, it looks like herO's committing quite a bit to this.
Yes, a lot of Adepts on the left-hand side. Plus one on Blink behind it, so he sets up a follow-up, but obviously this is all without a 3rd base at the moment. As the Adepts put some damage onto that hatchery, they will not be allowed access here. Serral continues to re-wall, and we'll bring these few roaches now across toward these Adepts, so just going to scare those away. A few Adepts will shade by toward the natural, and they have a chance to maybe jump on top of this Queen. They're going to try and bust down this Evolution Chamber once again. Evo Chamber taking quite a lot of shots. Will allow the Adepts in this time. So the Adepts enter the natural. There's a lot of damage done to them, right? I mean, we're losing so many of these Adepts before they even get to shade again. And as they shade, the Roaches are already here to meet them. We are losing some drones, though. 7 workers have fallen, and the Prism shows up to evacuate the final 4 Adepts. So they are able to escape out.
I think herO's playing a little bit too safe. I'm not sure if he actually wants to attack with this, but he could have taken a 3rd Nexus like an hour ago. Serral doesn't even have link speed, so there's not that much threatening it. He really wants to get more drone damage than that. That was a classic herO move. Flies through 3 queens, takes a little bit of extra damage on the War Prism, but does fire. Focus fire down some extra workers. Now once again drops and probably is going to get 1 more.
Definitely needed this damage, right? With, as he gets 2 more. Yeah, definitely needed this damage with how late his 3rd base is. Without that, he'd be in a lot of trouble. You can already see Serral have 50 drones. Obviously, would have been 60 plus by now if it wasn't this damage dealt. So, yeah, necessary damage as the Adept will get a creep team at 2. So just finding every last little bit of damage he can. I'm just gonna see the Roaches on the other side, able to grab a probe, and that will be all.
I mean, herO's going for like a defensive fallen where he doesn't take his 4th gas. He's making shield batteries right now, and Immortals and Stalkers. But if Serral just doesn't do anything, this is not good. So even with the damage that he dealt, he's still pretty committed, in all honesty. He doesn't have a Robo Bay, he doesn't have a real follow-up to this, so yeah, I don't think you can attack from this, because your economy went up that late that your extra gateways are going to be that late, that your Stalker count's not going to be that good. So I would be very surprised to see herO attack, but he needs to either tech up or go for an attack, because otherwise it's not going to work out in the long run.
2 more enemies, Ian warped in, and we wait to see what he wants to do right now. Serral is just cranking out some units, and Spire is about to finish, so you can have that option to him as well. Pretty nice game for Spire, right? I mean, yes, there's there's Stalkers with Blink, but the Mutas can still maybe ping-pong between bases quite nicely, and Stalkers blinking around after Mutas initially is not really ideal, right? You know, you really do want to just have the chance to build a couple of Phoenix, so yeah, and Serral's Mutas especially, I feel like, so often force such a reaction, and then you just mass up on the ground afterward, and that mass up's going to time up with, like, +1 melee and so on, and a good chance that Serral can maybe, get some damage with the Mutas and then just do a lot on the ground.
Dude, I wasn't memeing with the herO never has stuff in the wall. He just let a slow link scout his entire base. Like, you have so much time to warp and stuff, to not let the slow link not only in, but also not run around your entire base. I mean, I'm a little bit worried for Serral if herO was on the other side of the map right now, which I think he wanted to be, but he F2'd everything to his natural for the 1 Zergling that scouted everything, and also forced everything back, so it's only 4 Stalkers sitting right now. So the Mutas will deal critical damage. The thing is, herO's army right now is pretty sick. He has a lot of Immortals, he has 4 Immortals, against a mostly Roach-based army. And he has +1 with +2 about to finish. But I think he's a little bit too passive. Once again, blinks back everything for the Overlord. And now he realizes there's Mutas on the map, so... I mean, for now, in his eyes, since he didn't know there was a Spire, he just thought, okay, I killed the forward base, I can go back, but now he realized, okay, I need to do something.
Yep, Mutalist 6 workers already, although they will be losing one of their numbers to the Stalker Blink to the low ground. Oh, the Immortals get left behind, so they just all get picked off. Serral swarms those, and, well, there goes all of hero's tech. Now it's pure Blink Stalker with +2, sure, but a lot of Lings on the way to buff for these roaches, and oh, Jesus, move command as well. Everything's going wrong, as 5 meters are still wreaking pretty decent havoc over in the bases on the other side.
I don't even understand how this happens. He had the 2 sentries and the 4 immortals, and they just died by themselves. Like, does he have an extra stalker hotkey?
I don't know. Check.
Like, why did the stalkers go somewhere completely else then?
Nope. He has, well, right now he only has the stalkers and then the prism hotkeyed separately, but I imagine that was just all his army on one hotkey at first. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of crazy. His Lings counter-attack at the same time, so they're going to move on in. They have the chance to get this battery and work their way through some of these stalkers. The super battery pops for a split second before it gets denied. The mutas are still elsewhere. There's a lot of stalkers nearby those mutas. There's not really many mutas to really be too threatening anymore, but the threat isn't in the mutas anymore, right? It is in this Roach Ravager Link Force that is on top of your third base, and, well, let's see if the stalkers can somehow find a way to deal with this, but it seems unlikely as Serral will continue to reinforce. A ton of probes already down, and herO is hurting on this attack. And Serral looking good in this game 5. He will get cleaned up, but Serral's numbers are still astounding back at home. And he's still dealing damage with the mutas here, there, and everywhere. Because even when Serral only has this low muta count, he can just find so much out of them.
Yeah, he's by far the best with those mutas, especially against Protoss. And even though his work count is not good, herO basically doesn't have a work count to speak of. So all he needs to do is make more units and somehow survive. Especially if he survives still the +2 melee, he should be fighting against those stalkers. But even without it, his army is looking pretty good. Decent focus fire there by herO picks of a Ravager to begin with. Now it's just a bunch of Zerglings and a couple of Banelings, which are not going to be that effective. We obviously need to remember that herO can't reinforce with that much, but Serral's army is not honestly looking that scary. So as long as he keeps not losing his stalkers, hero's army is looking decent.
The Prism, though, the stalkers all went too far forward, so the Prism will go down. You will not get to reinforce this any longer. And with reinforcements of Serral, this should mean at the very least herO has to back away. If not, he's going to get cleaned up. As, Serral pulls drones for a few moments. He's very aware of the fact that he can do that. Yeah, those mutas coming in clutch, coming back home, getting rid of the Prism just as herO, like I say, moved just a little bit too far out of reach.
Yeah. Well done by Serral. Cleans up the series with a 3-2 in a very, very close game, where I feel like we've been kind of robbed of the real ending by herO misclicking 4 Immortals and 2 Sentries without looking at them. Because that was really close in the end, and if this doesn't happen, I'd imagine it looks a lot better for herO. Serral probably also wouldn't attack then with his Roach Ravager, to be fair, but we would be looking at an entirely different game.
Yeah, we would still be casting for sure, right? There's no way that would wrap up. But Serral gets it done. Mistakes were made by herO, and Serral 3-2 advances to the finals of today's Christmas Day Games, where he will be